Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Utah Story Show. On today's program, COVID casualties. We'll talk about the Salt Lake City downtown bar scene, what's happening with bars and restaurants. I've talked to a lot of bar and restaurant owners in the last few days. I've really gotten a good scoop on the lowdown of what's going on. Bars that are open, bars that are trying to open, bars that have closed. You're going to want to stay tuned to hear all of that. But first on the program, we're going to be talking to Tim Sullivan, who is the owner of Township and Range, and he is going to talk about co-working spaces with us. He does his work out of WorkHive, and it's a cool model. It's a model where people are able to have more autonomy, more flexibility, but still have coworkers. You know, it's obviously spread all over the country. You've probably heard of WeWork and other similar models in downtown Salt Lake. We also have Impact Hub. We've talked to Soren Simonson, who was on the program talking about that. So he's also going to go into some of the details about what's happening to the downtown Salt Lake City ecosystem due to COVID and what we can expect of the workplaces of the future. So, but before we get to that, I want to tell you about Canyon Meadows grass-fed beef. If you haven't yet tried pasture-raised beef, you absolutely need to try Canyon Meadows. Their ranch is located in eastern Utah in beautiful Altamont. You can visit cmrbeef.com to stock up on ground beef, roasts, and steaks. They have pickup locations throughout Salt Lake City, including the downtown Salt Lake City Farmers Market. And if you don't know the difference between factory farm beef and pasture-raised beef, you absolutely need to try it. It's healthier, it's better for you, it's better for the environment. And I really am a strong proponent of real beef raised on real pastures, not produced in a petri dish. It's seriously good for the environment. It's good for you. There's no reason not to be eating it. So go check them out. Learn more about it. It's at cmrbeef.com. They have a special offer going on for Utah Stories program listeners right now. You can have special savings if you use the offer code UT Stories, and a lot of you used it last time, and it's still available. An awesome offer for you to try out pasture-raised beef. Again, that's cmrbeef.com. Good for the good for the earth, good for you, and delicious flavor. Okay, yeah, let's get right into it. So, Tim Sullivan, thanks for being on the program.
Oh, happy to be here.
So tell me a little bit about WorkHive. What attracted you to that space, and what made you want to hang up your shingle there?
So I'd been working at a larger engineering planning firm, and went out on my own in late 2017. I'd always, wanted to start my own firm. So I found I had the opportunity to do it, and so went out on my own, and Mark Morris at WorkHive was the first person I called, because I had known about WorkHive. I'd had meetings there. I'd actually visited Mark there a few times back when he was just starting it, in 2013 or so, 2012, 2013ish. So I'd seen it grow, and it was nice. It was just kind of the right combination of flexibility and the amenities. Downtown location. At the time when I joined as a member, it was at the Crane Building, 2nd South and 3rd West in downtown Salt Lake. So I had been working. I live in Salt Lake, and I'd been working out in Midvale, and this shortened my commute by quite a bit. And it was, attractive being able to work in downtown, and kind of being right at the center of things. So yeah, that's kind of my story, how I came to WorkHive.
So is it a pretty tight-knit community there? Do you see a lot of the other people and you interact with them a whole lot, or do you kind of stay on your own, and if they do socials, you meet each other, or how does that work out?
I think that one of the best things about co-working spaces is that you have the choice. You're not completely isolated. And if you want that social aspect of it, it's there. There are actually quite a few other folks in my industry there. They've come and gone, but generally there's other planners, architects, engineers around, and so it's, you can bounce ideas off people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great aspect of it. At the same time, you don't have to interact with everyone. It's not like you're all working for the same company, and so you're sort of having to interact in the same way.
Yeah.
There's that kind of flexibility to just kind of mind your own business and do your own thing.
And
And they do
it's
quite
not
a bit
like
of.
a networking group, right? You're not there to necessarily network to try to get business from each other, or is that part of it?
I think it depends who you are. I think that aspect of it is there if you want it. Um, I think networking is a huge benefit of co-working, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
For me, maybe it's a little bit less of a benefit, but I think there's plenty of folks around that for whom networking is a really key piece of it. I think one of the cool things is that you have a lot of people in complementary industries, and so if I need, say, like a graphic designer to work with or something, there's graphic designers here that I
Mm-hmm.
can create a relationship with.
Yeah, I actually launched my business 12 years ago at a co-working place, and it was just a group of us, five of us, and we called ourselves the B Collective, and we moved ourselves from one location to another when the landlord offered us a better deal, and we were it was really fun because you can't really afford the rent of having your own private office, and
Yep.
it's also just a really great benefit to have people who are tangentially involved with an industry that's really similar to your own. And yeah, so
Yeah.
what do you think about what's happened? It seems like the whole business model's blown up. You look at what happened with WeWork. Do you think that model is oversaturated now in the marketplaces in general?
Well, I mean, I gotta say, I think one of the reasons that I was attracted to WorkHive in particular is, it's small and local, and it's not. There's nothing here that's sort of been over leveraged or expanded. It's grown. It's kind of seems like it's grown slowly and sustainably,
Mm-hmm.
and um, it's just has a feel of being kind of familiar and local, and that model to me, resonates a little bit more than say a company that's sort of expanding across the country. I don't have any experience with those types of places. Honestly, like WorkHive is the only one I really know.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that it works for me, and there's definitely a personal touch here that I think makes a huge difference, and I think can this kind of model can sustain um, from my perspective.
And what does it start at? Like, what are the price ranges, and what are your amenities you get out of it for the different prices?
I couldn't. I honestly don't know what the prices are right now. You'd have to ask Mark. It's on the website.
Yeah, we can check it out the
But I
website.
will say that that what's helpful is that I am in the kind of like part-time member
Mm-hmm.
category. It's helpful that there's a lot of different categories. Um, my thing, I come in like 3 days a week. I don't have a designated spot, and but I have use of the conference space, and I'm in one of the conference spaces right now.
Mm-hmm.
Use of the kitchen and all the other amenities, and then from there up, you can get a designated seat if you pay more, and come in 5 days a week. And then they have offices actually. WorkHive just moved into a newer space next to Squatters on 300 South.
Oh, okay.
Has kind of the one of the things that one of the benefits of this space is it has more private offices. So I think one of the benefits is you can really grow your business. You can come in as, like I have, is just a seat with sort of an unassigned. You can go all the way up to, multiple people in your own kind of office, but still using the conference space here and, the same amenities. Um, so
Cool.
that's been really great. And then I hired an intern to work with me that starting in May, and so so now she has a spot here, so we can both work together, in WorkHive.
Cool. Yeah, well, I want to shift gears and talk to you about the changing economic marketplace for both office space and retail in downtown Salt Lake City, and from what you've seen. But before I get to that, I want to tell you guys about another sponsor. The podcast is also brought to you by the Carpet Barn. The Carpet Barn's located in South Salt Lake. They've been in business for over 40 years. Their staff is friendly and helpful. They have a huge selection of carpet. And if you're looking to save hundreds of dollars at least on carpet for your basement or for your home, do what I did. Don't go to the big boxes. Go to the Carpet Barn. You're going to save a lot of money, and you're going to get much better quality carpet. And I recommend you go down and talk to them. They're an awesome family business, and you can visit them by just Googling Carpet Barn, or go see them in South Salt Lake on Main Street, just behind the Chinese village that's on State Street, Chinatown. All right, so looking at what's happened with fewer and fewer people needing to go to the office, and now it's just looking like in all the big cities that office space will be much more available, and maybe co-working spaces will be more common. What do you see happening, Tim, to the economic marketplace of office space in downtown areas?
I really have no idea, honestly. It's hard to know. It's just hard to know how long these changes are gonna last. I think in my field, in kind of looking at transportation planning, we're kind of wondering a similar thing with, like, say, public transit. Like, are people going to stay away from public transit from now on, or are people going to get more comfortable with it? It's an essential part of so many cities, and so how long term are a lot of these changes? How long term is the shift to more bicycling and active transportation in cities? Or is that fleeting? So we don't know. I think from my perspective, I think even without the pandemic, that there was kind of already a shift to the more shared economy, gig economy, and that there's just so much benefit from co-working spaces, even without kind of the emphasis on having more people working from home, that it just provides so much more flexibility in general. And I think there certainly could be that kind of shift. But I'm working actually with a transportation management association that we started in Research Park, at the University of Utah Research Park. And so we've been talking to a number of the employers there about their future plans, because right now there's a lot of commute trips that are being saved to and from Research Park and all over the region, which is a benefit to air quality. It's a benefit to congestion. It's great for a lot of things.
Best air quality ever in Salt Lake City.
And it sounds like a lot of employers are planning long term to have a lot of their employees work from home. Mm-hmm. A lot of because of they're facing parking crunches and having to build more parking. It's a lot easier than just building more parking garages. So mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it's like a lot of things. There's going to be things that remain from this, and then there's aspects where we'll just kind of go back to how it was.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Mark is joining us, who's the owner of WorkHive. Are you there, Mark?
I am. How are you, Tyler?
Cool. Well, I'll have you adjust your camera. We're actually on YouTube, if you can. That's better.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So, just really quick, we've got about 5 minutes left for this segment. How and why did you start WorkHive?
I'll be honest. It was an accident. I had a couple friends from college, and one was a landscape architect like myself. Another was an architect, and we were all working on building our own practices, separate companies. And all three of us were to a point where we needed workspace, kind of to take it out of the home office. And so we found a small office space. And originally the idea was just the three of us would share the costs of an office. And we had a little bit more room than we needed. We had a few more empty desks. And so we just started kind of putting an ad out there into the world that, hey, if you're a, kind of an entrepreneur that just needs a workspace, we'd be happy to have you come in and work with us. And it just kind of started from there. We had 6 desks, and those filled up pretty quickly. And the office right next door to us, the guy moved out, and so we knocked a wall down and then had 12 desks in a little conference room, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So it was very much kind of an accident that we backed into the co-working world. At the time, we didn't really know that there was a whole industry of co-working. This was in 2012, so it was very early in the co-working days, but
Nice.
definitely started very small and grew very incrementally as the demand has grown and changed. So we started with 300 square feet, a very small space, and now we've got about 7,500 square feet. So it's been a interesting growth trajectory. Definitely not taking on more than we could handle at any given moment. So that's been part of the success of the business for sure.
That's cool. And so through this all, you've maintained your own business doing landscape architecture and never stopped doing your own business in addition to the co-working.
Yeah, for sure. And that business, when we started WorkHive, it was just me, and now I've got 4 employees, and we all work here in the office, and it's been really beneficial. And part of it that's been really great is just being around, other sort of allied disciplines like Tim. Sometimes we'll go after some work and we'll need a transportation planner, and having Tim in the office every week, it's say, hey, Tim, what's your interest in pursuing this work together? So just being physically in the office, we've gotten more work out of that than I really anticipated.
Yeah, it sounds like a great way to launch your business. I was telling Tim that's how I started Utah Stories. Just with we had a videographer in our office, a web designer, actually a couple web developers, and we would always just like bounce ideas off each other, show each other what we're working on. Sometimes I'd ask other people to proofread my stories, and it's such a cool way to get a really thriving ecosystem budding. And this obviously is taken off on a national level. You look at places like WeWork, but it didn't actually thrive like they thought it would. What is it that you guys are offering, and what is it you're doing that you think is unique from the bigger competitors in your space?
Yeah, I think you're right that kind of creates an ecosystem of individuals, that a lot of industries are very siloed. That if I worked at an architecture firm, and everyone that I interacted with was an architect or a drafter. If someone asked me, hey, I need a transportation planner, or I need an accountant, or I need a web designer, I would have had no network at all to work from. But being in a space like this, if someone says, I'm just starting a new business, I need someone to do my books, or I need someone to build my website, you can just point them across the room and say, here's someone who's kind of starting their own thing too, and they can help you with that. I think to your question about what differentiates our space, I think most of the people here are really focused on growing something, whether it be their business or their career. Some of them work for companies that are out of state. They're not necessarily building their own business, but it's really a place to kind of focus and get work done. So we try to minimize the number of events. With COVID and everything, clearly those have stopped temporarily, but even prior to that, we would do events, a couple times a month, where it was just an opportunity for people to network and kind of meet. We've had people move in from other spaces where they just felt like there were too many distractions in the space. The space was really more an event space than a workspace. So I think at the end of the day, I wanted the type of space that I need to be productive and work, and have found that there are a lot of people who have kind of similar needs when it comes to workspace, that you can kind of leave the house. When you're here, you're at work. When you're at home, you're at home. When I worked from home for several years, you're sort of at work all the time because your work is there and you're there. And so the temptation to kind of blur the line between those two lives is always there. So
yeah, that's how I felt exactly.
And I think everyone's feeling that right now. That a lot of people, their only option is to work from home, but they're realizing like, oh, my productivity is taking a dive because like, there's the kids are here and the dog, and there's, other things that need to happen. If you're, out in a different space, you can get as much done in, 3 hours as it might take you all day to do if you're trying to
Yeah,
struggle
it's
through
really amazing.
distractions.
It's like I know so many people working at home right now, and I've been
Yeah.
trying it, but it's just like you just cannot focus, even just with your fridge being a little ways away, and somebody cooking or somebody watching TV, and the kids come home, and it's just like, gosh, you just can't maintain that train of thought like you can when you go away.
I think, and for me, the issue was that, I had an intern start kind of during the pandemic, and we first started. This was back in May, and WorkHive was closed, and it was just really difficult to communicate and get on the same page and bounce ideas off each other. And so once WorkHive opened back up, kind of started coming like every other day. It was just really helpful to have, a kind of a COVID safe space to do that and to work collaboratively together.
Yeah. And I really am beginning to think this whole telecommuting idea and always Zoom meetings is just, it doesn't feel the same. It's just, you just lose so much over a video line. I say that while we're speaking over a video line, but it's like you just really can't get the same essence from working with people as you can when you're working face to face with people.
And I think there's a role for it, for sure. I think the way it was before was probably a little too rigid. Like like I was saying, there's a lot of transportation benefits and environmental benefits to people working from home. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's just kind of needs to be balanced, with having that in person.
Yeah, I think we've all traveled, a distance to a meeting that you get to, and it really could have been a 15-minute video call between a few people. So I think, like you say, it's more about balancing out what's the right tool. There are some things that really need to be in person together to get something done, and some of them you can get done with a pretty quick call.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you both for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you bet.
I'll let you go now, and we're going to do a segment now where we're going to talk about all the bars and pubs that have been affected by COVID in downtown Salt Lake City, and the ones that are open, the ones that have expanded their patios. I've talked to a lot of restaurant owners in the last couple of days to compile this list, and I want to tell you all about it. But first, I want to tell you about another advertiser. The Utah Story Show is brought to you by ActionToyRental.com. The lakes are open. You should get out of your house and rent a jet ski from Action Toy Rental. This summer, rent 2 jet skis for as low as $277 per day. Take your friends and family out on the lake and enjoy a set of fast Yamahas that can pull someone on a tube, a wakeboard, or water skis. These things are super powerful. You can book them online with coupon code UT2020 to save an additional $40. You really don't want to wait until the last minute to book your reservation because the weekends book up really quickly. You can save additionally by booking weekdays. Action Toy Rental is Utah's jet ski rental company. They have an excellent 5-star reviews from their Wave Runner boat and jet ski renting customers because they focus on being affordable, flexible, and easy to work with, still providing high-quality, top-of-the-line water sport machines. So they rent out giant boats. If you want to have a company meeting out on a boat or a little getaway, go to actiontoyrental.com and bring the fun to your next day on the lake. Be sure to use offer code UT2020 when booking online or over the phone so you get the extra discount. It's really a great discount. It's at least $40 off your first time using it. So use that offer code UT2020. Okay, so I've spoken to a couple of bar owners, restaurant owners, and I wanted to find out what's going on with the bars in downtown Salt Lake City. I just spoke to Bridget Gordon, who's the owner of the Green Pig Pub and the Funkin' Dive and Harp and Hound in Ogden. And it's kind of sad what's going on. It's like her PPP money ran out all the way back in April because she was still under the provision that she had to spend it all, within 4 weeks. And So she's been operating at 50% capacity, trying to maintain her business, and with about 20% of the seating in the bar itself, and then up at the patio she has another 50% seating she's able to do outside. But she said that Sky Bar can't open because he doesn't have a kitchen. They're kind of an EDM dance club. Of course, they're not able to open. Lumpy's downtown is permanently closed. Button Down on Pierpont probably won't reopen. Dave & Buster's just put a huge amount of money into the Gateway Mall. They will not be reopening at the Gateway. They're permanently closed, it looks like. The Jackalope Lounge may not be able to open back up because they can't pay rent. How can you pay rent if you're not open? The bars that I found that are open, there's still a lot of them. I'm going to list them off. The Twilight Lounge, Whiskey Street has limited seating and their patio's open. White Horse next door. Red Ginger's a new restaurant and a bar, and they're back open. Legends downtown and in Southtown's reopened. Twist has expanded their patio seating, and they are back open. As I said, the Green Pig, the Beer Hive Pub, Gracie's Bar, Purgatory Bar, Piper Down, the Handlebar, Harp and Hound, as I said, Funk and Dive, and those are both in Ogden, are back open. Ones that we were not able to get a handle on is the Poplar Street Pub. On their website, it appears they're open, but I've been by there a few times, and they have not been open. Good Grammar Bar, their number is disconnected. I can't assume they're open when their number is not working, which is really sad. That's always been a really cool bar. Still not open, but planning to reopen is Bodega with their speakeasy and the rest. They're just a super amazing place, and they're still not open. They've been closed, I think, now for the whole duration, so around 4 or 5 months. Dick and Dixie's is currently closed. Their number is not in service. We're trying to get a lowdown on what's going on with that. And Twist in downtown, they expanded patio seating. The Urban Lounge, that's been, the most awesome place to go listen to music. The Depot and the Urban Lounge. They are starting to sell tickets and book shows for September 29th. There's nothing I could see prior to that. So that's basically the lowdown. What I also found out is that things are definitely going better for the national chains. Like the City Creek Center, downtown Salt Lake City, their kind of crown jewel is the Cheesecake Factory. I've never been a huge fan of the Cheesecake Factory. A lot of people love them. But they basically just decided, they said, we're not going to be paying rent for April, and we're going to do that nationwide so that we can continue our operations. They're sold on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol CAKE, and their stock price is down about 35%, but they've managed to get tons of online orders, and they're obviously negotiating deals with the big mall owners like Taubman, who owns the City Creek Mall. And what I also found out kind of interesting is that Taubman did not give any discount at all to any tenants in their malls. So all of the locals, I'm sure in all the malls, are really struggling. And it's unfortunate because, you get into a mall space, of course you're going to get the foot traffic, you're going to be paying a premium for that space. But if you can't own your building and you're basically subjected to whatever your landlord's going to do, you're much, much more likely to get a discount if you're dealing with an individual landlord than if you're dealing with a giant publicly traded mall. So, here at Utah Stories, we always promote the idea of buying local. So now more than ever, you need to support the local bars and pubs and restaurants. We've been working with them since day one. They've always been our bread and butter advertiser. So I can't stress enough how it's just a great time to go out and stay safe. Of course, wear your mask, do everything you can with social distancing, but patio dining is really quite safe. If you're out on a patio and you're 6 to 10 feet away from another customer and you're wearing your mask when you're not eating, it is really a safe way to go. Another restaurant I wanted to mention, bar, downtown, is Red Rock. They've expanded their patio seating. They've got this really cool patio. We're going to show a photo of it in our next issue, which is coming out, which we're really excited to tell you about. Our August-September issue of Utah Stories. We're about 4 or 5 days from going to press, and we're just wrapping it up. It's our Hidden Utah issue, and we're going to be talking about hidden Utah ghost towns, spelunking in caves. We're going to be talking about hidden gambling operations that are in Utah, hidden from plain sight. A lot of amazing content you will not find anywhere else. And so you're going to want to check out the new issue and get your hands on it when they're available. So I will keep you posted on that. And if you'd like to subscribe to the magazine, you can go to utahstories.com/subscribe or click on the subscribe button from Utah Stories. We're finding a way, we're trying to find the best way to monetize this podcast because we don't want to have too many ads. So one thing we're actually working on is pre-ordering a book we're coming out with called The Best of Utah Stories. It's going to contain about 48 of our best stories over the last 12 years. And we are going to be producing that book and self-publishing it. And anybody who pre-orders it is going to be able to get it. So we'll be sticking out a pre-order now tab on our website. You can check that out and you can go and order your copy. So it's going to be great. All right. So with that, I think we're about done. So check us out at utahstories.com. Subscribe to our digital newsletter. That's how you're going to get all the updates on our podcasts, on our stories we're working on, our investigations. We are moving forward with several investigations you're going to want to know about. And so you'll find out about those by subscribing to us at utahstories.com. And you can also, of course, follow us on iTunes, Twitter, SoundCloud, and Facebook, Instagram. We're doing a lot less with those guys. For some reason, they've banned us from promoting our posts. We're trying to find out why. We just hired a digital company to help us figure out what's going on there because we criticized Facebook, and we've always heard about the digital censorship that's happening, and if that's actually the reason because we criticize them, that's kind of unfortunate. So we'll keep you posted about that as well. So we've got coming up on the program in the next month. I wanted to let you know we'll have Soren Simonson back on talking about the Jordan River Trail and the big project they're doing to expand the trail out in Murray and in south going all the way to Provo. That's going to be really awesome. And he's talking also about the conservation efforts that are happening on the trail. And he'll be on. We have a professor from BYU talking about how climate change affected Native Americans about 800 years ago. What was the impact of that? That's a really cool podcast you're not going to want to miss. And then we also have one of the top medical cannabis growers on the program. His name is Wade Laughter. He was recruited from California to come to Utah to grow medical cannabis for really what has got to be the most exceptional medical cannabis growing facility in Utah. And you're not going to want to miss that one either. So keep tuned and subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell icon so you get alerted every time we come out with a new episode. And until